Greetings and salutations. How's everybody doing? So, one thing that's very popular, especially when it comes to gaming, is CRT Tvs. So, I talked about them in the past, getting into details, but say, hey, like, what made them pretty cool, and if you're wondering, I had actually cut my finger. So this time we're looking at a top 10 coolest CRTs. So yeah, some of them might be ones that you've seen, some of them you've probably never heard of, but this might be fun. So at number 10 was the Shrek's CRT. I know you're probably thinking, and probably folks in the comments are making the comments saying, wait, they made a CRT for the first Shrek movie? Yes, they did. They did. Here's what it looks like. And I can say it is the most creative thing I've ever seen when it comes to a CRTV. Because back when I was growing up, we always had the CRTVs were the ones you could carry with you and all that. Like if you were going to the lock-in and all that. And yeah, I'm gonna say say if you like Shrek going up, the uh, remote's pretty cool and the TV for itself is pretty neat. At the same time, I feel yeah, I'm saying this one is a bit of a novelty. This one's a bit of a novelty in that it looks cool, but at the same time, I feel like it would just be saying, I'm tired of looking at those Shrek ears. And all that. Whatever they're called. Number 9 is another, CRT TV that it's based on, a, a IP. In this case, the Lightning McQueen CRT. So honestly, I'm looking. Actually, I thought this one was pretty cool in that the body of it has looks like Lightning McQueen, and it has that little smile and his face and all of that, and it's a very vibrant looking one. It looks very neat. But then I'm gonna say this: the prices for this beast are probably a bit more than I'd be willing to pay. Then again, I'm just saying I'm okay with my little CRT since it can help I can watch VHS tapes that way. And yeah, sometimes the best way to watch a horror movie or play a game, CRTs. So let's look at number 8. I bet you didn't know this. But say in prisons, yes, and they had TVs, in a way. Well, the thing that made them interesting is in that some of them were clear. So you could see right through it. You could see the tubes. You could see all the little intricacies that would make it. You can make this television work. And yeah, I kind of like how it looks, and at the same time, even though yes, it was for prisons. Honestly, gotta say it was a very neat looking one. Number 7 is, I feel like you would have seen this one quite often. A classic looking one, but what makes this one different is that it's one of those TVs that would have the knobs. In a way, it would be able to say, okay, this one I find pretty cool. and that it kind of reminds me of growing up. Like I would go to my grandmother's house. One thing you always had to do is you'd have to get up out of your chair and okay, I want to watch Home Alone now. I gotta change it to channel number 4. And number 6 is the Philips Discoverer. And what is that, I bet you're asking? Well, the Philips Discoverer is a rare TV. But what makes it look cool is that it is a one that looks like a space helmet. It is 14 inches, and it was a collaboration between Philips and NASA to celebrate the first space shuttle launch in 1981. And if you're like, NASA? NASA? Yes. But if you're thinking of getting this thing, if you're thinking of getting this little beast, be aware you're going to be paying a hefty amount. Number 5 is a Sony BVM 9045 QD. And I even say I think I had discovered some of these for the first time. Honestly, I think this one's pretty cool because it has a handle on it. It had one thing it made interesting is that it had a 8-inch viewable screen. But the screen was kind of small. It had 450 lines of resolution and can be operated by a wired remote. And yeah, I kind of think this one's pretty cool. It looks very neat. I mean, number 4 is a Sony 40XBR 800. Now this one is say a bit more the ones that are a bit boxy, and it had this one say it had its own stand because say back when in the 90s and the 2000s, say yeah it would be really great if you had a stand to watch your television on or play your games on. Because some of us we would play our games on our our dresser drawer or something, and that's what I did. And yeah, I actually think these ones are fairly cool. But man, by today's standards, they are pretty expensive. One thing I gave number 3 I thought was pretty cool was the Seiki Digital SE 22RF01. It's a mouthful, but honestly, I gotta say this one is fairly cool in that the way it looks like, say, something from the 70s. I mean, just look at this. Yes, it has the little knobs, and I know some people are just say, I don't like the knobs. I want to have the remote. But the design for it, since this is the ones we're looking at, makes it look pretty awesome. It was a 22-inch, it had a 22-inch screen, and it also had a more modern display, but at the same time it was a clunkier shell. Here's number 2, because yes, this is the one that I initially would think about is say back in the 90s and the 2000s, when you had the emergency preparedness, they actually had little ones that say okay it was a part radio, but it was also had a little television adaptation. And honestly, I wish I could find it. I wish I could find this. It was a one that basically had it was it had a bit of a crank on it. So when you would play it, it would require it wouldn't require a uh in in a outlet, but you would have to use a hand crank to use the flashlight to use the television because these things weren't. Number 1 is a JVC Video Spear. So, it takes some inspiration from this Discovery, which like the one that looked like a helmet. And if you're interested, like, say, when did this one come out? This one came out in the 1970s. This one has an alarm clock on it, so that's pretty cool. And I'm gonna say, I love the design for it. Like, I love how like the way it's shaped. I love, like, say, the little bottom part. It looks like, say, a GameCube that it has a television stuck on it. And yeah, I think this one's awesome. But did you own any of these? Maybe you did. I'll see you next time.